This is Good Morning Mumbai with Hrishi.K.
Like I told you at the fag end of the show tomorrow, we're going to talk some Haka. And, I have a couple of Kiwi mates, so I know what the Haka is all about. And I have precisely the right person to tell you about that through the course of the hour. Karl Burrows has been in the United Kingdom for the last 17 years, but he is originally from New Zealand. And I'm happy to welcome the affable Kiwi into studio. Karl, welcome to the show. How are you doing?
I'm doing really well, thank you, and just so happy to be here. And if I can just say in my language, and it's Māori Language Week this week, so how we'd greet people, how I'd like to greet you right now is tēnā koutou, whakarongo mai nei, kia hau e tūake, e kōrero ana ki au koutou, ko Mumbai, ko hau, ko Karl Burrows, tēnā koutou, kia ora mai tātou. And that's just a way of saying acknowledgement that we're here and just loving being here. To all the listeners, pleased to be here. So, kia ora, thank you.
Lovely. And do you come to India often, or is this your first time?
No, I've been a couple of other times prior. I came for a wedding, and I also came to see, actually to visit Sai Baba a long time ago. But this is the first time we've come over for work. So, Speaking Minds have brought us over. And yeah, we do Haka, and really pleased to be able to share what we do over this side of the world.
Talk to me about the Haka. I believe it's an indigenous Maori art form. You would tell us more.
Yeah, I mean, it is. It's from our culture. It's from our ancestors. It's something that's been passed down to us. It's something that is very precious to us. But over time, as New Zealand has changed, there's been like this transformation of our country, where Māori culture is becoming more acceptable and has been embraced by the wider populace, and Haka is part of that. Haka has probably become famous because of a particular rugby team. They're called the All Blacks. The All Blacks, if you don't know, they are the world champions right now in rugby. They have been for the last two tournaments, and they've got an incredible winning rate. So over the last 100 years, something like 84% winning rate, which is pretty amazing. So they're often looked up to as one of the teams to follow, to copy, in terms of their culture, and Haka is part of that culture. So it's been going, they've been performing it for over 100 years as part of their build-up to their performance, but it has a story that goes a long way back.
Tell us that story.
Okay.
Is it more like a war cry? Is it something that the Maori used before going into battle? Is that it? Yeah?
That's part of it, but it's not the whole story. So Haka is a word that we use generically for all styles of dance. So it can mean dance. We don't like to use the word dance because it's more performance. It's not so much for entertainment. It's about telling stories. There's many styles. People are familiar with the style of the All Blacks do, which is more the war-focused, orientated type style of dance. But there are many other styles as well. But Haka, if you break down this word, ha is breath, or we say the breath of life or the spirit of a person, and ka is to ignite. So Haka is to ignite the spirit within a person. Not just you as a performer, but also your audience as well. As a performer, you're seeking to inspire your audience, to generate the spark of life within your audience as well.
That's beautiful. Karl Burrows is here. We're talking the Haka, which is the Maori people's dance, which has now become New Zealand's official folk dance. I would say official because it's the most well-known outside New Zealand. The Maori are the indigenous people of New Zealand, and Karl does some very interesting things with the Haka.
This is Good Morning Mumbai with Hrishi.K.
So what is the Kapa Haka, and from there on, how do you use the Haka to indulge in corporate training?
Yeah, so Kapa Haka just means people in a group who do Haka. So the important thing about Haka is it's not an individual thing. It's not about the individual so much as about the group. So in New Zealand, we always perform as a group, and we've got competitions where up to 40 people go on stage and perform our Haka. How it's moved into the corporate world, really. This is how it started. We did a performance in the UK and for IBM actually, and then one of the executives come up to us and said, "Hey, we love watching you. We love watching you perform Haka, but we want to feel what you feel when you perform Haka." And we thought, okay, I know what you're saying, because we have a tremendous amount of spirit and energy and giving when we perform Haka. So we're taking our energy as a group and we're giving it to our audience. And the question that we got posed was, how can we take another group other than ourselves through a similar process so that they can have the same amount of energy. So this is how we come up with this idea of working in corporates.
And I notice, I've seen a couple of YouTube videos where you actually go on and explain certain things, on a board with a pen, and then you get every single individual in the room involved with what you're doing. So talk about that process, how you take them through that.
Well, first we go out and perform, and then I think it's really important that people understand what Haka is about and what it means, because it is, when we go out and perform, it is kind of radical. You're at a conference, and then here come these warriors dressed in traditional costume performing Haka, shouting and grimacing and showing quite strong, aggressive postures, and people are going, what the hell's going on? So it's my job to explain who we are, what we do, and why we're doing it. So we need people to trust us quite quickly. They need to know that we're serious about what we do. We love our culture. We really treasure the teachings of our ancestors. And what we're here is to share some of those deeper teachings with the audience. Then it's a matter of breaking down. We teach a simple haka, breaking down the words, breaking down the actions. And it's a process of getting people up and involved and enjoying themselves. They've got to relax. And then we slowly teach them, and then they don't always want to get involved initially, but by the end of it, because of the way we run our workshops, they're all up, they're all saying the Haka words, they're doing the Haka actions, and then we try and get them to focus on what their own objectives are within their organisation. And then, so Haka's about coming together as a team, unifying, bonding, but also focusing on purpose. So if we can get people to understand, focus on their purpose, generate energy together as one team, and then when they perform their haka, it can be quite a powerful experience.
Now, when you take this around the world, you must be interesting for you to see different cultures reacting in different ways to the haka. For example, people in the UK, most of them are robust only during a football game. And I don't mean your kind of football, which is the Kiwi kind of football. I'm talking soccer. But otherwise, the culture is predominantly introverted. I mean, if you're flashy, it's almost frowned upon. Yeah. So those guys, getting them to do something as, out there as the haka must be difficult. Indians, I would imagine, would take to it like fish to water. Yeah. So talk about how different cultures react to the haka.
And what we've learnt to do is not really judge how people respond, because, we don't exist in other people's minds. So in everybody cultural context, it's our job to make people feel really comfortable with that. So with the English, for example, people tend to be quite reserved, and you think, gee, how come we cannot get a lot of energy out of these people? And it depends on the sector as well. If they're accountants, lawyers, council workers, they might not be so extroverted. Then we come to other cultures, like you say, here in India. We did a workshop in Iraq. We've done workshops with Russians and American salespeople, and they just have no problem throwing themselves out there. But I think what's important is that we understand everybody has their own processes that they need to go through. We don't judge. We just provide a really fun experience, and then hopefully it all comes together. We can enjoy ourselves.
Lovely. Okay, give out website where people can get in touch with you, Karl Burrows.
We're Speaking Minds. So if you contact Speaking Minds, www.speakingminds.com. Yep.
Speakingminds.com, then they'll be able to reach you. That's wonderful. And it's Karl Burrows talking about the haka, this traditional form of art and dance from New Zealand. Oswald Crasto, thank you for shouting out. Thank you for the weather. I have no control over the weather gods, my friend. I imagine you're talking about the song, but that's good enough for me. Vikram Alva, very nice interview today. Thanks, Vikram. Merlin, Lucien, Miranda. Good morning, the haka. Wow. I feel blessed to have seen it a few times during my recent trip to New Zealand this year. All ears for the next hour. Oh, what a lovely country to go visit. Merlin, lucky you. You want to shout out to some of your mates who are in India for the very first time in the car.
That's right.
On the way to you.
Yeah, we've got a team coming here with us at the moment, and we've just been to Delhi. We're here in Mumbai now. They're in the car listening. It's their first time. They're amazing haka performers, so I just want to shout out to them. And they're with Raga, who's from Speaking Minds. Also to my friend Sidra Syed, who's from London, who lives here and works for Vogue now. Just want to say hi to her.
It's a very India thing, but people in Bombay will we'll always feel sorry for them that they had to experience Delhi. I'm just joking.
Not going to say anything.
Oh, Mumbai is Mumbai, man.
Oh, we love Mumbai.
We're the greatest city in this country, man.
We love it.
Okay, only joking. I've seen a few videos of the All Blacks, and things could get very tense down there on that pitch. And there are actually videos on YouTube on the top 3 moments and top 5 moments of the All Blacks doing that haka. And some rival teams, and I'm not saying only the Aussies, but maybe the Aussies, maybe the South Africans, maybe the Welsh, sometimes don't take it in the right spirit, and things could get a little edgy on the pitch. I mean, you watch it now. It's actually funny, but I can imagine, can only imagine what it must have felt like at the moment. Talk to me about that.
Yeah, well, to be honest, I have some sympathy for the opposing teams who have to stand there and watch the All Blacks do their haka, because for the All Blacks, they're calling on the energy, I suppose the spirit of the past generations of teams that have gone through. They're capturing that in the moment, so they're capturing their whole identity, they're putting everything into their haka, and they're just sharing it with those who are watching, which is and it comes out as a challenge to the opposition, and they're saying, we're here, this is our these are our credentials, this is our history, we're here and we're going to defeat you. So how do you respond to that? And I think that's a real dilemma for some of those other teams, and they've responded in all sorts of ways. But for me, I think if they stood up and says, yes, we hear you, we're going to respond in kind, we're feeling your spirit, we're going to give it back with just as much ferocity as you're giving it to us now, I think that's how you respond to the haka.
Yeah, I did see one video where a rival team was just staring them down while they were doing it, which I thought was an appropriate thing. It was a competitive thing to do.
Yeah, I think so. You're saying you're feeling the challenge, and you're saying, I'm prepared to stand here and face it and take you on as well.
So how was it in Delhi? I believe it was part of the EMA, which is the Event Management Association's annual big do. So talk to me about that. Did you enjoy yourself?
Yeah, it was very, very lavish, and we got to meet some really interesting event people in the industry. We had the opportunity to hear A.R. Rahman and some great Bollywood people with their songs. So it was a really fun experience for us, something new. The extent of the industry was really interesting.
And you do know that Rahman's won an Oscar award, an Academy Award, as well as a Golden Globe.
Yeah, well,
so he's massive.
Yeah, no, well, I know because of when I went to university in the UK, we had a lot of Indians that came over from here and from Mumbai as well, and they would not stop talking about him. So I'm quite familiar with A.R. Rahman.
Lovely. Okay, now you have any questions or you have any comments? I'm happy to read them out. One space your comment and your name. Type it and send it to 53650. Questions or comments also welcome on social networking. Follow at HRI SHIKAY on Twitter. Tweet it out. On Facebook, look for a page called HRI SHIKAY. Like the page, post on the timeline inbox and facebook.com/radio1.mum. Our official page. There again, you could drop a comment in the timeline inbox. Karl Burrows talking the haka at 9:54. Karl Burrows talking about the haka. Satyajit Gaude, he says, just loved your honesty, too good. It's actually Nitin Sumra's comment that he's reacting to. Nitin Sumra, interesting comment this. I have to read this out because this is special to us. Congratulations on 10 years of Radio 1. I still remember when I started listening to Radio 1 just to improve my English. Now it's part of my life. That's incredibly sweet, Nitin. Thank you very much. And we can't claim to be professors of the Queen's language, but we do our bit. Thank you very much. Karl Burrows here talking the haka.
This is Good Morning Mumbai with Hrishi.K.
Radio 1.
Now, it's all good to do these workshops and do the haka in Old Blighty, come to Colourful India and do gigs, but Iraq must have been a totally different cup of tea, yeah? So talk to me about that.
Yeah, so we're really privileged to be invited to different places around the world. One of the most interesting for us was to be invited to Iraq in 2013. It was to the town of Erbil, which is in the North Kurdistan part of Iraq. And it was for a corporate function. We got invited over there, and we were privileged enough to work with the local Iraqis. There were about 200 people that we worked with. We were assured that it's a safe place to go to, and so we all went over there. There hadn't been any violence or bombings over there for a long time, for 7 years at least. But that particular weekend, there happened to be 3 bombs that went off while we were there. So the whole hotel got shut down and closed off, and we were isolated for a couple of days there. But yeah, it was a very interesting time.
Wow. Just curious to know, how long have you been doing this? I mean, or did you have a former life and a former job? Because before your roots came calling and you said, I've got to adopt Haka all over again and try and do stuff with it, connect at a deeper level with it.
Yeah. Yeah, I did have a former life. I'm Maori in my heritage through my mother and European through my father. I lived in New Zealand. I trained as a lawyer, and
wow,
yeah, for 3 years I practiced as a lawyer in New Zealand, and then 4 years in London. And then I just got to a stage in my life where, as interesting as being a lawyer was, I didn't feel like I was actually put on earth to be a lawyer and to help big companies achieve their goals. I thought there's something that I can offer, and we started this company called Manaya, which is about Haka performance. A group of us, and then everybody slowly drifted away from the UK, and it's me that runs it now, and then it extended to Haka training from there. But I just felt there was something that I have personally to offer, and I think it's more about, because I am of two cultures, I do have a particular way of understanding how to communicate across those cultures.
And the dancers themselves, do you source them from New Zealand, or are there enough people doing the Haka in the United Kingdom? Couldn't be easy, isn't it?
Yeah, no, it's not always easy, but there's an arrangement with New Zealand and the UK for young people to come over on a 2-year working visa. So if you're under 30 from New Zealand, you can come and work for 2 years. We get a lot of young people coming over. They're Māori performers. They're from New Zealand. They've been doing Haka since they were children. And at the moment, we've got some incredible performers. They just know Haka inside out, much better than me. My job is to make sure that they get from A to B, and they can sort themselves. I can sort them out, but their job is to perform, and they're just incredible. So, yeah.
That's wonderful. The world over, there is concern about displaced indigenous people. We go through that in India all the time.
Yeah.
We're fighting that battle right now. Adivasis in certain pockets, which are tribals in certain pockets of India, have been displaced, by people who came in. Their lands have been taken. And obviously there is pressure on governments around the world now to protect the indigenous people, and protect their land and their culture. Is that happening on a day-to-day basis in New Zealand? Is the administration and the authorities working to preserve not just the culture but the lands of the Maori people?
Yeah, well, one of my other roles I have is I'm a negotiator for my tribe back in New Zealand. We're negotiating with the government for compensation for the lands that they took in the 1800s from our people. So New Zealand's quite a unique situation, I think. They had a treaty with the Crown, the British government, basically said, British government, you can come and govern, but you guarantee you will not take any of our property, our lands. Of course, that was breached. There was war. And now we're going through a compensation process at the moment. Our culture, like many cultures around the world, we're severely oppressed by the British, by the Crown and the settler governments that were subsequent. Our people have been really strong. We stayed in the villages, and then there's been a huge migration into the cities, through education, I suppose, and also just this strong desire to maintain who we are, our culture. There's just the momentum is starting to grow now. So it's not just protection from the government, it's also the drive of our own people to make our culture relevant in today's world.
Subimla Radio, that's Enrique Iglesias and Sean Paul's Hot Car and Hit. After this, some messages, and we're going to say bye-bye to Karl Burrows, talking the Haka and more. Don't go anywhere. I'm Hrishi.K. Also, some pictures of Karl coming up. All you have to do is go to the search bar on Twitter as well as Facebook. Look for HRISHIKY. I'll pop up. You'll see them on the timeline. Tweet back, post back reactions, and one space you comment the name to 53650. Wonderful art, talking the Haka, talking the Maori people, and this wonderful art form from New Zealand. Karl Burrows, thanks very much for being with me through the course of the hour, mate. And before you go, if we were to reach out to you on social networking, where can we catch you guys?
Yeah, you can find us on at speakingminds.com, and also we've got a Facebook page, Speaking Minds Global. But also, can I say thank you for having us, Hrishi.K and RadioOne. It's been a pleasure to be here. Thank
Lovely.
You.
And have a safe trip back to the UK. And give my love to Wimbledon, the lovely village you live in. And we've got the Haka performers. Hello, you guys.
Hello.
Can we do the Haka, please?
Tikatonu!
What an experience. Thank you. Thank you.